What do you think, Bug? Should we go on a tour?
Happy spring! It finally feels like spring here. Look at this. This is my first tour of the year. I'm very excited to be back out here. I kind of don't do much in the wintertime because it's very brown, so it's not visually super enjoyable. I do a lot of projects during the brown months, but as we are in southeastern Minnesota, so we're in northern climate, and there's just a lot that's sleeping in winter. So it's a time of rest around here. But we've had a really great April as far as spring goes. I have been very concerned about what things would be like this year because it was a very mild winter. We didn't get many very hard freezes. We didn't even get that many winter storms where there were below zero temperatures, which is pretty normal. We usually get a few days where it's 20 below or whatever, and we didn't really have that this year. We also didn't have very much snow, which is very important for our native plants as far as keeping them protected over the winter. So usually if it's cold but there's not a lot of snow, that can be damaging to plants. The snow helps to mulch and insulate a lot. And so we didn't have that this year. I was very concerned that would mean it would be very dry because we are still technically in a drought. It's been 2 years of drought around here now. But as you can see, it's wet out here. It's gloomy. We've had quite a few days of rain so far this month, for which I am extremely grateful. But we are doing a tour. You will notice that my garage is in a bit of a state, and hopefully down the road you will see what happens with that. But we're just going to focus on the garden today, start in the front yard, and work our way back here. It is the end of April, and I wanted to get a tour in earlier in the morning before it gets too noisy. I haven't done one yet this year because everything's been pretty brown up until a couple weeks ago, and then it warmed up. We got some rain, and everything is exploding. Over here, this is my favorite. This red bud looks amazing. I am so happy with it. Planted this in spring of 2020. It was a whole thing to get it, figure out how to get it from the store safely during the pandemic. And my friends used their trailer to help me get it here. So I always think of them when it's in bloom. But it is my favorite thing because it's right outside. Oh, ignore that sad tree. It's right outside my window where I sit and read. So I look at it all the time. And next to it is this lilac that is just about to burst into bloom. I can't wait. And this is one of the first things I planted when we moved here. At the time, there was still a big deck that covered this sidewalk, and so I couldn't actually access any of this. This was all covered by this gigantic, ugly deck. But I planted this lilac, and it took 5 years before it actually had any notable amount of blooms. Now that it's done that, I think I might move it. It was labeled as a Miss Kim, so it's supposed to be small, and obviously it is not. And I want one in my backyard. So this might get moved. And next to the lilac, we've got some poppies. I don't see any flower spikes yet, but this guy's been getting pretty big. I had a dogwood here that I dug up and moved to the back. I actually had a few smaller shrubs up here that just haven't been thriving, so I moved them to the back to my new garden area, which I will show you. Here we have some winter sown plants. This is larkspur and milkweed. This took so long to germinate, but finally has. Get teeny tiny little milkweed plants. And I think that is Verbena bonariensis. I have figured out that winter sowing works best for me with that, so now I'm doing it every year because I love verbena. Probably gonna move this dogwood too, because look how it's growing. That center part died out and it's got these two other bits. Maybe this is a separate bit. But I think I have a big whiskey barrel planter in the back that I think would be nice right here. And if you remember last year, I used to have a patch of grass here, and as you can see, it's still trying to remind me that it was there. But my mom and I sheet mulched it and added some more natives and perennials. So I've got a little wee baby liatris. Should pop up soon. Most of these are divisions from other people. There's my Sarah Bernhardt poppy right there. What are you? I don't remember that. We'll find out. And this is a new 9-bark I planted last year. My goal this year is to get just a little fence for the front here. My house is technically a Victorian, even though it's not a fancy Victorian. And I would like to get a fence that sort of matches that. Ooh, it's another lilac. I will leave this one. This one's called Moscow White, I think. But that's looking great. And let's see, I've been moving a couple other things. Got to redo my planters up there. If you have any ideas for what would look nice, let me know. What else we got here? Some iris. I think almost every iris I have here, except for one, are divisions and gifts from other people, which I just love. Highly recommend. Over here, ooh, this is my Sirius Black Clematis, and it is, I don't know what you call it, probably some sort of determinate variety, but it regrows from the base there, and it only gets about that high. Doesn't really climb. If you know more about that, let me know. But I just love it. It's got really beautiful dark foliage and these very delicate little white flowers. And over here, this area looks very messy, and that is because it is very messy. But this is kind of where, like, when I rake up the front area, all the leaves get thrown here because there's been so many weeds over the years. Like, you can see the blackberries here. And every year I try and cut them all back and they return, so I'm consistently battling them. But I put all my leaves here. Don't worry, I'll clear them away from the air conditioner. Here's one of the dogwoods I moved. Oh, that looks so nice. So bright. Here's another one. Hi, look at you. Hope you can hear some of the birds. And I think here is my asparagus. Oh, yeah! Asparagus. So I planted this probably 4 years ago, and I have never harvested any of the asparagus because I know you have to let it establish for a while. So that's what I've been trying to do, which is why I put it on this side of the house, because I typically don't come over here very much, which is why it's kind of a catch-all. I'll get to it someday. This is my limelight hydrangea I just pruned. And this year, the main project out here is going to be to address the tree bank. This is a enormous silver maple. We love her. I actually met a lady who grew up in my house. She told me her dad planted that tree, which is very cool. But it's hard to plant under because I now know that it is over 65 years old and it has a lot of roots. So it's hard to plant there. This is the concrete I tore up from the backyard. I have to take it to the dump, which will be an adventure. Look at this apple tree. Hi, look at your pretty blossoms. I think I need to divide this grass this year. My idea with removing some of the smaller shrubs back here is that I'm going to replace this sad arborvitae, as well as when I move this lilac, I'm going to put some grasses there to sort of provide a background for the flowers, but also some hedging for in front of my house, so no one has to see my gross old foundation. This is a sand cherry. Beautiful. Oh, hello. This is one of 2 honeyberries. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Flower spikes. This iris is one I dug up from my old boss's yard, also during the pandemic. He was reconfiguring it and had to dig up a bunch of stuff and gave it to me. All right. Oh, looks so nice. Oh, the hostas are coming up. Look at this. They love it there by the downspout. There's some more. Those are big ones, I think. Let's go back here. I haven't cleaned up any of this yet, but you can see the lilies. It's mostly lilies and hostas. They're all coming up. They're very happy. Yard waste. Boo. This is some rhubarb I moved last year. Looking great. Here's some more. Rhubarb is great to just like throw in a corner. And you always have too much, especially around here. Everyone has rhubarb in their yard. Oh, hey. My grapevine, I have not done its spring prune yet. Sorry. This is one of my construction projects this year. I need to replace the gate. Okay, so as you can see, I still haven't set the pond up, but that is on the agenda for this week. This is very exciting. This is a I believe, Korean spice viburnum. It smells amazing. Yum. I have an out of control black raspberry here that I mostly cut back. I still need to get all of that in control. This elderberry was in a pot last summer and I put it here. It's a black lace elderberry, and I have a lot of, not a lot of, but I have some shrubs with darker foliage back here, like this smoke bush. So I'm kind of repeating that, and I plan to put some of my cannas here this summer, so those will have the dark red foliage. And you can see there's a crabapple there, and there in my neighbor's yards. They look phenomenal right now. I love that those are sort of like borrowed trees. And I've just been moving a lot of stuff. I believe in, for people who like fashion, they often tell you to shop your closet because you're not buying new stuff, and that's what I've been doing in the garden so far this year, is shopping the garden. So a lot of stuff is now old enough to divide. So I've been dividing a lot of things and moving them around. If you remember, this area used to be, the bed was here in the middle. And so I have reconfigured that. You may have seen those videos. And I think I really like this a lot. So I'm hoping when this is all grown up in the summer, when you come in the gate, you won't totally be able to see the seating area. So there will be things that break up your line of sight and will make it look a lot bigger back here. But a lot of people say, oh, your yard looks so big. It's really not. It's pretty small. But I'm learning some things to help make it look larger. So here's a bunch of things I moved around. We've got some yarrow, or I believe that's Alchemilla mollis. I like to use common names. If you're really into the scientific names, that's cool, but I like common names. So here's my catmint. I have so much catmint. If you live around here, don't buy catmint. I will give you some. It's one of the things that I propagate really well. So we've got, this is a salvia that needed to be divided, some lamb's ear, sedum, and so there will be kind of a border around here of lower growing perennials, and then my dahlias and a couple cannas are going to go in the middle here. And then I'm going to put a little path here. So some of the concrete that I broke up, you can see my great shoe fashion. This is a clematis. I should cut this flower off, but look at that. So I was visiting my sister, who now lives, she just moved to Omaha. We went to a great nursery there, and their clematis were all very healthy looking and very reasonably priced. And so I had to buy a couple. The serviceberry has just gone over. It had all these great white blooms on it. So it's leafing out now. This whole area is going to be the big project this year. I need to get some more sod, but I think it'll look really nice once this is all grass. We've got more divided perennials over here, some more sedum, yarrow, coneflower. That's just your standard purple coneflower, again, that someone else gave me, and it's now spread. This is a generous gardener David Austin rose that I moved back here last year, and I've had a whole conundrum trying to figure out whether or not to move the roses I just moved last year. So I ended up deciding to not move these two, which are both climbing roses, but I'm going to move this one. And I think I'm going to put it right here where it can climb on the fence. So I'll have a clematis climbing there, and then I'll put the climbing rose there. Shout at me in the comments if you think that's a terrible idea. It is a west-facing wall, so it'll get nice morning light, and then it'll get nice and warm in the afternoon. Where am I going? I need coffee. Oh, you're still there. Hey, bud. Let's get our coffee. So this is another Generous Gardener climbing rose. It is looking fabulous. It was really interesting last year. I moved it. It started leafing out. It was doing fine, but it didn't really do much beyond that. And then towards the fall, it just whoosh, took off, had all these huge canes. So I think it's settling in. I just mulched it with some compost and manure combo, and I have a clematis going through it, which was here. I didn't want to move it. That's kind of been the theme, but I might end up doing that. But right now I'm just sort of letting it ramble through the rows because they'll be friends. And I used to have a little pathway here, but since I moved the pathway here beneath the arch, I filled that in with some bee balm and daisies and another coneflower over there. Oh, look at this big guy. Big hosta. It's a big boy. This viburnum, I was totally ready to rip out because it has been very sad, but it filled out very nicely, so you can stay. And what else? Let's go this way. I wanted to make sure to get out here because we just had this rain and all my daffodils are in bloom and they just look fabulous. These are, what are you? Thalia. I think they're the only kind of daffodil I have. One year I just ordered a ton of them and put them everywhere, and that's pretty much the only daffodil planting I've done, and they have just moved themselves around, which has been great. Ooh. Yeah, buddy. These are peonies. This one, okay, look at this tiny thing. This is a peony that I got from Menards a few years ago, and it has never gotten bigger than this. Has never flowered, but I'm thinking of moving a few things at the front here anyway, so maybe it could be one that I planted too deep. Oh, we got some more iris ready to come up. This is exciting. These, oh, baby bunny. Did you see that?
This is exciting. These, baby bunny.
Maybe he'll come back out. He's been hanging out around here. This is honesty, which I've never grown before. So I winter sowed these last year and stuck them here and there, and they leafed out. And this year they are blooming, and I had no idea what they would look like. They look beautiful. Obviously, I mostly want them for the seed heads, but it's nice to have color out here this early in the year. Another dogwood. I am so happy with how this is looking. Look at all these different greens. So I asked some of you what I should do in this area. So the chicken coop used to be here, and they downsized because there's only 4 of them left. And I still need to fix the run a little bit, but this is where they're hanging out right now. Oh, my husband gave them some treats. And this is sort of a spring garden / shade garden because we have these trees back here. what I'd like to do is when I move that lilac out front, I think I'm going to put it here, and then my hope is to get an evergreen tree for back here. But I moved, let's see, this is one of the dogwoods that I moved, which is, I should probably just cut all that top stuff off. That's probably dead. Ooh. My mom gave me this Brennera. Looks great. Thanks, Mom. She also gave me almost all these hostas. And back here we have, let's see, that's Empress Wu. And this will be its second or third year, so maybe she'll get nice and big this year. This is one of my favorite kind of hostas. I don't know what kind that is. Oh gosh, there's still a flower on my hellebore. Wow. It's another one from my mom. Thanks, Mom. Ugh, I'm just so happy. This part of the yard used to be my least favorite, and now it's becoming one of my favorite areas. Which is great. You just keep working at something. Turn out pretty nice. It's my blueberry. Got lots of flowers. I have a bunch of peonies that I got last year from a friend who wanted to move hers. So we divided it when it was really, really hot, and peonies really want to be moved in the fall, so I was definitely taking a chance, but they appear, they appear to have survived. What's going on, Gladys? Wet chickens are not happy chickens. Sorry, Gladys. Oh, this is a new hosta I got last year. It's called Earth Angel, and it is planted near the grave of one of the chickens. There's the other clematis I just got. I'm going to try and get it to grow up this apple tree. And we've got tons of fun stuff over here. There's lots of coral bells or heuchera. Got a lot of, this is spiderwort, which I love. That'll bloom soon and it'll go all summer. And bleeding hearts. There's one last rhubarb left here. This is a climbing hydrangea that has been there for years and it has not gotten much bigger than that. So I don't know. Oh, this is an Ito peony, again, from Mom. And that's done great. It's looking really good. I love this bleeding heart. And, oh. I'm getting sprinkled. The lupin is another winter sown. I did those 2 years ago and got maybe one flower spike last year, so I'm hoping this year there are more. It's all happening. Spring is happening. Oh, and this is another red bud. This was my birthday present from my mom last year. I wanted a multi-stem red bud for back here because I'm obsessed with them. And I was very worried again because we had such intense drought last year. It was so hot and I was watering this like crazy and it defoliated and I was really worried that it might not make it, but it appears to have survived. Everything's coming back to life. I'm very excited for the rest of spring and summer. Hope you enjoyed the tour. There'll probably be a lot more now that things are taken off. It is a little bit chilly today, but May is starting this week, and I think things are going to warm up, which means that after all this rain, everything's going to take off. So I'm probably going to want to do one of these almost every day because there will always be something new growing, but I will resist and try to do them at reasonable intervals. It's exciting. I hope wherever you are, spring is coming, and maybe you're deep in the midst of it already. But whatever the weather is like, I hope you can get outside for a little bit. Happy gardening!